Hello Soundies. Today we're looking at mixing on Logic Pro X and automating the mix using the read, touch, latch, write functions, and also another additional or a fine tuning, or it could be the way that you choose to do it entirely, using keyframes. So I'll just close that down again. I'll go over that in more detail. Pardon me. So the first thing I want to do is level lay my Atmos. Now, I fully intend to be tweaking and changing the levels throughout the course of this mixing session. But what I like to do first is to sort of, I'm just going to zoom to make them a bit bigger. In fact, let's make all of this a bit bigger. Is sort of get my Atmosy stuff ready. Now, as you can recall, we created a stack track, so I can solo the Atmos stack track, and that will keep all of these playing, but will solo all of the other stuff. Do you want me to remind you how to do a stack track? Well, what I might do is I'm going to take the Atmos, the dog, and put that in Foley. Let's put it down here. Because I think that's a Foley track. And the church bell, which I have down as Foley, I think is an Atmos track. There we go. So I've put that into the stack track. So if I close that down, it all disappears. But we now have the dog. I really should recolor these ones. In that one to the same color as all of these. But I tell you what, just to show you. Show colors. Highlight this one, and is that the same one? Yeah, close enough. It might be that one. Or it might be that one. Yeah, it's that one. There we go. So it's all the same-ish. And the dogs need to be that kind of horrible brown colour. There we are. If you're going to be a bit OCD, and sometimes I do, and I have a theory that the prettier the timeline looks, the better the design is. I think that's symptomatic. I think I've mentioned that already. So we've got our suburban garden, early morning. We've got our woodland. We've got our crickets. We've got our church bell. We've got our river small, and that's what we're going to do first. Yeah. So I'm actually going to create a stack track for the Foley sounds. Here they all are. Let's just close it all down so I can see them all. There we go. Just to remind you how to do it. So the first one is the keys jangle, and the bottom one is the key score. I'm going to press shift and click on that as well, so it highlights all of these. I'm going to go to track, and I'm going to do create stack track, folder track, create. There it is, and I'm going to rename it Foley. There we go. This is just to keep my timeline organized. In fact, I'll just leave that. I won't take these, put these in a different place, because they don't need to be stack tracks. There's only two tracks, and indeed, theoretically, I could do it all on one track. But anyway, so Atmos. So that's my level. That's the overall level for the Atmos. I can actually write that up and down should I wish. But what I'm going to do is, can you see? I'm going to click on my mixer. And here we are. So I'm just going to select all of these. Currently they're on read. So I'm going to click here and drag to select all, as you can see there, all of my Atmos tracks. I'm going to click on write. There we go. And that what means now, when I press play, all the levels that I'm currently on are the levels that are being written into the automation, and any changes that I make to the levels will be recorded. So right at the very beginning, I'm just going to center. There we go. I'm just going to set these kind of levels the way that I've been playing them back. Leave the church bell for a minute and put the stream up a little bit. I think, yeah. And I'm going to sort of center. So I don't know why that has to be not centered. That too. And I might change these pans. I'll center everything. so it kind of basically standardizes it all. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just press play, not record, just play. And it'll write in these levels that are basically just track set all the way through. I am going to play this all the way through for the whole thing, well, right up until we get to the church. But fear not, I will fast forward most of this when I edit all this together in Final Cut. So here we go. And there we have it. So I'm going to stop it there because there is no more Atmos or external Atmos. Have you noticed that the writes have now gone to touch? So let me explain what each one of these represents. Write is when you're writing automation to a track for the very first time. The reason for that is because write will overwrite or rub out anything that you might have put in before. Touch is when you've written your basic track. You can fade a track up or down when it's under touch function, and as soon as you let go of the fader or as soon as you let go of the mouse, it'll automatically go back to the original level. Latch, I'll click on it here, latch, that is when you move the fader and let go of the fader through your mouse, it stays at that level. It doesn't return back to the original level before you move the fader. And read is, which is what we're going to put everything to now. So I'm going to click and highlight all of these, and I'm going to go to read. That just reads. So that reads the automation that you've written in. Pardon me. So for Atmos stuff like this, I just like to get a general level, and then I always go back to read. And I then only go to touch or latch when I want to do something. Because if you forget to move it, if I then say, right, oh, I think I might move this a little bit, it'll record that. Whereas, see how I press stop, it goes back down, it doesn't record it on read. So it's important that you go to read whenever you finish writing a track, otherwise you might inadvertently make changes and you can't work out why something's panning madly or volume going up and down later on in your mix because you've got to switch it back to read. So I want to do the stream next. So I'm going to deselect all the others. I'm just going to have stream. Yeah. So I'm going to select, what shall I select? I shall select latch for this. Also, actually, before I do that, I'm going to go back to read. I'm going to zoom in a bit. I think I take this out too soon. It comes down. There. And I think it should continue. And I should be fading this out, almost as if it's POV, point of view, from the guy. So it should be faded out about there. So there we go. And also I think it needs to start a bit earlier, just a hint earlier. So do you want to, if you're moving a track and you want to keep the automation, always select move. If you're unsure, select don't move. Just play it. There we are. It comes in about the right place. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, in fact, it could come a little bit earlier. Yeah. Lead and lag, so it's not coming in on the cut, it's coming in just a momentary, a fraction before the actual cut to the next shot. It takes away edit impact. So I quite like the level it is now. Do I like the level? it could be a bit higher. Okay, so I'm going to select latch. And I'm going to move both the volume and pan, but I'm going to do it at separate times because I can't do both. Well, I could do both if I'm using my breakout mixer, but you guys don't have that, so I'm just going to mix using the traditional mouse and fader technique. So here we are, we're on latch. I'm going to have a bit of a run in, and I'm going to bring this level up a little bit. And then as soon as it cuts the hair, it's going to go down because we've moved some distance from the river. I think we should it down a bit more. And then almost like that. And then okay, and then I let go, and so I'm going to go back now to the beginning. As you can see, it's moved back up again, and I'm going to start with the river about there, and I'm going to pan it when it moves, when our perspective moves. So here we go. The reason that I'm moving it slightly more to the centre here is because of distance makes it less directional and more all over the place. The further away you go from a sound, as long as you can still hear it, it stops becoming so directional or specific to a location, just sort of reflects around in the environment a bit. So I'm just moving it slightly back to the centre. And I'm going to go back to read. And let's see how that works. I have a feeling I did the pan a little bit early. Yeah, that works for me. I can tweak it, and I'm going to show you how in a little while, but I want to do bells next. So church bells, nice and quiet. I know I've already set levels, but I'm just doing little fine tunings here. So church bell. Something like that. Okay, so I haven't, I was only practicing that, so I'm going to go to latch again. I'm going to set my church bell quite quietly, and I'm going to have it panned to one side. Because in my mind's eye, he's on the bridge, he walks over there, and through the hedges, and straight ahead is the church, so then it has to pan to the centre, and we have to increase in volume as he gets closer and closer to it. what I would what I would really like to do, let's go back onto this track. What I would really like to do, what's this bus? Oh, there is an external reverb. Okay, I might tweak the reflection so we sound most of the echo first, and it gets dry as we get closer. Maybe I'll demonstrate that live actually, because otherwise this clip is going to last forever. So I'm going to latch. And I'm going to set my level. I have a bit of a run in. Set my level. Groovy. Okay, I'm going to do the pan next. One could argue that the bells should fade out with the fade to black, because the fade to black and then fading up shows the passing of time. It jumps from where he is at the one end of the field and he's into the graveyard. But I fancy it, I think, well, I could do that. If this doesn't work, I'll fade that out. But I quite like the idea of the last chime being when he's in the churchyard. Okay, so I've done that. So now we've got the, before I do, reflection. So here we go. At the minute, the church bell is going through this external external meaning reverberation outside. So I'm actually going to switch it to read for a minute. So I can just have to listen if I increase that. Oh yeah, I like that. Might take it down a bit. So actually I think that level is pretty good. So I'm going to go to latch, and I'm going to write that level in. Taking it down a little bit because now he's closer to it. He's got more direct. He's hearing more of the direct sound, but not too much because it's still quite far away. it right down to the last chime when he's in the church. Funky. So that now can go to read. I've done that. Now, for me, I remember I said this, the girl giggle, really, the normal girl giggle sound should, at this point, when we know she's a supernatural creature. So, this is the point where her girl giggle, I'm going to move to the second track where I've got the P shift. The girl giggle becomes more and more weird. So it starts off naturalistically, and then ends up sort of kind of weird. So I'm going to open the pitch shift. I'm going to open the echo, and I'm going to open the space designer. Here we go. Just to demonstrate, actually I can't open all this stuff. I won't have any other room left to demonstrate this. So here we go. Here's the pitch. Here's the echo, and here's the girl giggle. And writing this in, so I'm going to go to girl giggle here. So this is the one. It's this track I'm on, the highlighted track with all of these effects. So I'm going to go to write, because it's the first time I'm writing this track. And I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to actually make it take down 10 semitones, but I'm also going to take the mix at 0, and the same here with the echo. I'm going to leave that because I quite liked it, but I'm going to take it down to 0. So the mix is 0. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mix the level. So I can close. Let me just play that. I've played that, so I've written that in case it hadn't written in beforehand. So I can close those down for the time being, and I'm just going to work on level. So I'm going to go on to latch, and actually I'm going to go to read. Let's get the actual level that I quite like first. So okay, that's okay. So I'm going to take that level up a little bit. Let's have a little listen now. Okay, right. So here we go. I'm going to go on to latch. And I'm going to raise the level a little bit. And I'm going to pan a little bit. Good. So now I'm going to, I think I'll solo this. Shall I solo this? Would it write that in? Okay, let's just not go. There we are. I'm going to start with pitch shift, and I will solo this, so I can just hear her voice. So it starts off normal, and then I'm going to add the mix for the lower tone. Okay, good. Let's play that back. See if it actually did that. You can see that it's recording. close that down now. Let's go to my echo. I'm going to switch Space Designer off for the minute, which might actually switch it off when we're recording, but we'll soon find out about that. So I'm now going to start adding the delay. Good. And finally, let's go back here. I'm going to switch Space Designer on, and I'm going to do the mix. So okay, and there we have it. So I'm going to unsolo that. Everything's back onto read, and I'm going to go from the river and see how that all kind of feels now. Okay, I feel that maybe the bell's a bit loud, so I'll take the overall level of that down. But I think over this sequence here, before I do anything else, I'm going to want my bushes. Where's the bushes stuff? Foley footsteps. What happened to my bushes? I was wondering where that had disappeared to. Oh, here it is, bushes here. There it is. I'm just going to solo it. Okay, that is quite quiet. So there's a little trick. I've got my EQ here. Can you see there? That's the gain. I'm just going to boost the gain a bit. See if that sounds a bit nicer and louder. Ooh, could go even higher, I think. Let's try that again. Okay, that'll do. So I'm actually going to record this bit now because I want it to all flow in. So the bushes, let's just play through. Okay, it starts there, so I'm going to trim that down. There's no reason for how a load of blank nothing. Okay, and I'm just going to set the level because I don't think it needs to fade up. I think it just can stay at that level. So let's see how it sounds. go a bit louder. Okay, so here we go. So here we go. So the level I'm on now is still quite high, so I'm going to take the level down, and I'm just going to boost the gain still further. Better. Okay, so I'm going to write that in. I'm going to have a little bit of a run in. Bushes. I can write that. So here we go. Okay, now if I was doing this for real, I'd be re-recording that. It's a bit quiet, or I'd be boosting or normalizing it, but I think that works for the time being. I also think the church bell is a little bit loud all the way through, so I'm going to use that same trick on church bell. I'm going to take the gain down a little bit, just to take the edge off. Okay, and then I want to write in. I want to boost these sounds for when he's going through. So I'm going to select this one and this one. I'm using the command button to select those two. Theoretically, they should. Yeah, we are. See, they'll be faded up. So I'm going to go to latch on those two. And I'm going to, and this is all about dynamics. It's all about having a dynamic, moving soundscape that's not a bit passive and not a bit kind of just putting sound onto the picture kind of stuff. So here we go. Faded out into the last bell. Okay, those go back to read. That bell is still too loud, so I should remix it, but I'm just going to take it down a bit more. Okay, so now I want to play the whole sequence from about here. For the mix sequence, there we are. The dog, wherever it is, the dog can stay where it is. I don't need to mix that in, it all sounds great. Yeah, kind of works, doesn't it? It's pretty good. Okay, I'm actually going to end it here. Otherwise, this video is going to be too long. So have a cup of tea, have a little bit of a break, and go on to part 2.